Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the iPhone 12 and compare it against the iPhone XS Max and see which specific phone you should go and pick up in 2023. Now, both these phones are very different from one another, but they still have some similarity. If you want to pick up either one of these phones, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the same time. Now, starting off side by side, you can definitely tell that there are some key differences between both of them for sure. Now, with the iPhone XS Max, this phone came out back in 2018, and this was the main flagship of that year. I mean, this was a pretty expensive phone at $1,099. It was the first Max phone we got, and it was the first time Apple kind of made their, like a big phone with a notch pretty much ever. This wasn't the first big phone they made, but this was a big phone for sure. On the front, you were getting a 6.5-inch Super Retina OLED display, or maybe it wasn't even a Super Retina, maybe it was just an OLED display, whatever they're calling it. And this was a very good panel. You know, it still looks very good, looks very sharp. And every time I turn on this display, I am very happy and very excited to see how good this panel looks. Now, it's a 60 Hz panel, so is the 10, so is the 12. But it's a pretty good screen. I don't really have too much to complain about it. Some scratches here and there, but if you're getting a brand new one, it doesn't really matter. Now with the iPhone 12, this is a smaller phone that came out in 2020. This one has a 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display. Now this panel, I would argue, is probably the better looking one in some ways. I mean, this is a very good looking screen. You still have the notch, you still have a little bit of bezel around it, but I think Apple did a great job with this specific display, and I think both screens look pretty good. I don't know if one is way better than the other one, but Apple did a pretty good job with both displays when it comes down to it. Now, in terms of the thinness and thickness, I'm pretty sure the iPhone 12 is the thinner phone, but I think the iPhone XS Max is still it's not super thick, but not super thin either. We do have a flat side on the iPhone 12, as you can see. The XS Max has this curved side. It's also a reflective material. The outside of the XS Max, I think, looks and feels better than the outside of the iPhone 12, but I think it feels better. I think the iPhone 12 looks better, though, if that makes sense. You have lightning ports at the bottom, and on the back you have glass backs on both. My iPhone XS Max does have a skin on it because I cracked my back on this one a long time ago. So we have dual camera setups on both, but they are very different. I'll explain that later on in this video. You have wireless charging on both. You do have the MagSafe capability on the iPhone 12, so it allows you to use the MagSafe wireless charger and MagSafe accessories too, which is really nice. And IP certification on both. That kind of covers it up on the outside. Both iPhones are very similar nowadays to what you'd expect, so there's not massive differences nowadays. But I will tell you, with the fact, when you think about it, these phones are 2 years apart, Apple did do some big changes. I mean, they did give you the flat sides now, which is really nice. So that kind of covers it up there. Now, another thing is, basically with the software and the longevity portion of both these phones, I don't know how much longer the iPhone XS Max is going to last. I don't think this phone is clearly not going to last forever. I think we all know this. But how much longer is this phone going to last per se? I'm not really too sure. I hope this phone lasts for a very long time, but we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. I think considering that the iPhone 10 is still supported, I don't think that phone is, I don't think this one's going to be discontinued today or tomorrow. I still think it's going to be a little bit of time. I would probably say next year it may see its last update, but we're going to have to wait and see. The iPhone 12, on the other hand, is just getting started with updates. Like this thing just came out. Well, not just came out, it's been about 2 or 3 years now, but it's still getting started. It's probably not even halfway through its life cycle. So we still have quite a bit of time on something like the iPhone 12. So that kind of covers it up there. Now let's go into a speed comparison between both these phones. The iPhone 12 has that Apple A14 Bionic chip inside of it with 4 GB of RAM, where the iPhone XS Max has that Apple A12 Bionic chip inside of it with 4 GB of RAM as well. So let's go and see which one's the faster one between both. Okay, there we go. All the apps are cleared out in the background, so let's get into it. Phone calls, 3, 2, 1. Okay, about the same thing. Music, which I don't even have. App Store, 3, 2, 1. And the iPhone 12 is faster. And the iPhone XS Max is kind of weird there a little bit. Let's go and kind of scroll through here. And I think the iPhone 12 is probably going to be the faster one. The XS Max seemed to be kind of slow. I don't think it's an issue with the iPhone. I don't know what was taking it so long. Settings, 3, 2, 1. About the same thing. Let's go and do photos, 3, 2, 1. Okay, about the same thing. Let's go and hop out of here. Camera, 3, 2, 1. Okay, perfect. Let's go and take this option off. Let's go and take a photo, 3, 2, 1. Let's go and open up that photo. Okay, about the same thing. Both are very similar. Mail, 3, 2, 1. But I think that 12 is doing a better job at kind of showing us that it is kind of the faster one. Clock, 3, 2, 1. Perfect. Let's go and do something like news, 3, 2, 1. We do have two different pop-ups on both as well, so that's kind of one thing to keep in mind. Hopping out of here, let's go and do podcasts, which I don't have here, which is very weird. So we can start loading up some of these other third-party applications. I do have Subway Surfers on here somewhere, but I don't really know where it went, so we'll just skip that one. I would love to have tried Genshin Impact, but it doesn't seem like I have that one here either. I don't know why I have all these applications. There we go, 3, 2, 1. So many random applications on the XS Max. Now, Genshin Impact is a very big game. I think a majority of people have probably heard about it, and to get into the loading panel, it probably seems to take the longest time before you even get into the game. You can see even here the iPhone 12 was clearly the faster one before the iPhone XS Max. Now, hopping out of here, let me go ahead and go back to this other page so we can try something like Temple Run 2. 3, 2, 1. And the iPhone 12 is the faster one. The iPhone XS Max slightly slower a little bit. Again, not the biggest deal in the world, just one of those things to keep in mind. And I would not think of this speed comparison as being the end-all be-all. I think I do have Call of Duty Mobile on this phone, so I will go ahead and try doing that one, and it doesn't look like I do. So we can try the original Temple Run, 3, 2, 1. Now, it could be on two different panels on both as well, but we're just going to go ahead and try it out. And I think we are kind of, but the 12 I think may have been the faster one. So I think consistently speaking, the iPhone 12 has been the faster one every single time. I think this one is going to be giving you the faster experience, and it's also a very, very solid phone. So when it comes down to it, that kind of covers it up there. Now in the camera department, I think both phones are pretty decent as well. They're a little bit different. With the iPhone 12, you are getting a wide and ultra-wide camera. With the iPhone XS Max, you are getting a wide and telephoto camera. So two different types of lenses on both. You're able to do 4K at 60 on the back of both of them. The 12 can do 4K at 60 on the front, where the iPhone XS Max can only do 1080p on the front. So that is kind of a slight little thing to keep in mind there as well. Now in the camera department with the iPhone XS Max, like I've said for a long time, I think Apple did a pretty good job on this camera. It wasn't perfect. You do have 1080p at 60, which is nice, but shortly after this, we started getting really good cameras on their iPhones with like triple camera setups and 4K at front. So keep that in mind. You have photo mode here, video mode, slow mode, time lapse. You have portrait mode, panorama mode. So you still have a lot of capability on this type of camera, which is really nice. Is it perfect? Not really, but I think, at the end of the day, Apple did a good job, and it could have been worse. With the iPhone 12, this is also a very good camera. I've said for a long time now, I think Apple did a pretty good job with this type of camera. It is an ultra-wide camera, so you do have 0.5x zoom. You don't have as much zooming in, so you only have 5x zoom, but you still have 0.5x zoom on the outside, which is a really nice touch. I love having that type of capability, and ultra-wide sensors are something I would prefer more so than even a telephoto lens, so it's just one of those slight things to keep in mind. You have video mode, slow mode, you have time-lapse over here, you have portrait mode, panorama mode. You still have a lot of capability here, but I'd probably say that the iPhone 12 is probably the better camera when it comes down to it. So at the end of the day, what I'll tell you is I definitely do think a phone like the iPhone 12 is probably the better phone when I kind of think about it. It has a lot of capability. It is the one that I typically will look at more so often than not and kind of think to myself that it is the better camera. It's had a lot of impact so far. I like the body change, but I still think the iPhone XS Max still has a lot of power in it. Like if you want to use this phone for a little bit longer, like please go for it. But again, if you're in the market and you're trying to get a brand new phone that's going to last the longest amount of time, well, the XS Max is not brand new. It's only available in the used market for the most part. So the iPhone 12 might be the better option for you, but I would definitely say that iPhone 12, 12 Pro Max, better phones for sure. But the XS Max still is holding up decently well against it. So that kind of covers it up there as well. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.